What's up? Welcome to another edition of Wrestling in the Basement. Wrestling in the Basement edition number 6. Special edition tonight. Normally don't do WWE Network stuff. I don't normally do NXT. But tonight we had on NXT Finn Balor versus Shinsuke Nakamura. And then we got the Cruiserweight Classic. So it's kind of a special night on the WWE Network, so I felt it necessary to do a little reaction, a little review, recap video for you guys, let you know what I thought of the first episode of the Cruiserweight Classic and the Shinsuke Balor match. So let's start with the NXT. Excuse me. NXT, it was perfect. I was saying right before we started watching it that I was hope that they did like one match or some promo and then just got right into the Nakamura Balor match. Samoa Joe starts the show, comes out talking about he's the man, everything runs through him, he started strong style, a whole bunch of stuff, doing the heel thing perfect. Then Rhino comes out of nowhere, old ass man, challenges Joe. They're going to fight next week. Rhino's going to get his ass kicked. Joe's going to win, whatever. But let's find out who wins that Balor-Nakamura match, and we'll see who kind of the number one contender should be, for all intents and purposes. And he kind of talked about that, too, that just because one of them wins doesn't mean that they're automatically the number one contender, but I'm pretty sure it does. So let's go right into that match. That match was everything they had built it up to be. It was perfect. It was perfect. It was exactly what I thought. It was a story. They told a perfect story through that match with Balor working Nakamura's legs. Nakamura like gutting it out. There wasn't a lot of high flying. There's a lot of technical stuff in the beginning, which I liked. They gave him about 35 minutes, I'd say, to work. So they told a really, really nice story in that 35 minutes. Like, honestly, sometimes the matches get rushed. That's just part of what's wrong with a lot of short matches. It's not that they're bad matches. They're just trying to, tell a story in 5 to 7 minutes where, with good wrestlers and especially guys who know each other and have known each other for 10 years and are friends, give them that amount of time, you're going to get a hell of a match. They started chanting, "This is awesome," before the match even started. I was like, calm down. The match hasn't even started. They chanted "Fight Forever," which was good. But the crowd was the crowd was torn. It was Finn Balor chants. It was Nakamura chants. They were going back and forth. It was a fun match. Nakamura ends up winning, is what I figured was going to happen. It's what happened because, number one, Balor's done in NXT. If he doesn't get drafted on Tuesday night for the draft, I will be floored. Because he's been the champion, like the longest reigning champion in NXT history. He's, had his matches with Joe, can't beat him. There's really nothing left for him to do in NXT. So it's time for him to come to the main roster and let's start, developing that character for the main roster because there's just so much untapped potential there. It's ridiculous. And he can't just stay down at NXT forever. I know he loves it down there, but I think it's time. Let's draft him up. I hope he gets drafted to Raw or whatever show AJ Styles is part of. Because I'd like to see a little feud between those two at some point. Balor Club versus The Club. Oh, that would work. I could see that angle. So that was it. That was NXT. Then we go into the Cruiserweight Classic, the first inaugural edition. So if you don't know what the Cruiserweight Classic is, it's a 32-man single elimination tournament. So one match, win or lose, you're either continue on or you're out. It's kind of like, it's WWE's thing or form of March Madness. You know what I mean? Where you go down, brackets on each side. You get what I'm saying? All you sports/wrestling fans, right? But they have 4 matches tonight. They're going to do probably 4 or 5. I don't know how many matches they're going to do every week because this could take a while to go through this. If they do it 4 matches a week, I figured that would be about 12 weeks of shows, which I don't know if I can keep interest through that long, but I'm going to try. I'm going to watch every week. I don't know if I'm going to do a reaction for every week, but we'll see. If it coincides with an NXT event, if there's something, special, I'll do it. But for the most part, I'll be keeping track, and maybe I'll talk about it on the Raw ones. Whenever I do a wrestling video, I'll bring it up. So the 4 matches tonight, we had Gran Metalik versus Alejandro Size. The chili dude, right? Wasn't that the chili dude? So, thank you. Voice from the distance. That match was good. The Alejandro dude sold it. He was trying to sell way too hard. Grand Metalik's been around. He's wrestled Balor. He's wrestled Nakamura. He's wrestled, a bunch of other big name people that are already in WWE and NXT. So it was kind of a given he was going to win, and he did. It was a solid match. I mean, there was a moonsault off the, what was it, off the apron?
Top rope.
No, that was Kato. That was Kato. That was later. There was a bunch of good moments in that match. For an opening match of the tournament, it was good. Metalik wins, moves on. That was kind of foreseen. Then the next match we had Ho Lun, and I don't know any of these people going in, realistically, except for Kato Ibushi, who we'll get to later. I knew pretty much nobody going into this tournament, except, Tajiri and Brian Kendrick, because they're already from the WWE. Other than that, I didn't know anybody. I actually watched the Bracketology show a couple weeks ago and learned some backstory on a few of these guys. So, I do my research. So we had Ho Lun versus Arya Davari, who was he was representing some Middle Eastern country. His brother had been in WWE, and then Ho Lun was out of Hong Kong, China. We really thought the freaking Middle Eastern dude was gonna win. We really did. I honestly did. Just because they kept talking about his backstory. He was a legacy. His brother was in the WWE for a long time. But got to give it to Hunter on this one. He gives the win to Ho Lun. And Ho Lun, I mean, it definitely wasn't my favorite match of the night by any means, but it was a good match. And both participants, I think, shined well in their respective roles. Both one kind of heel, one face, like any match. But it worked. It worked. Then we had... I still don't even know how to say this dude's last name because the way it looks and the way they're pronouncing it on the show are completely two separate things. So it's Clement. They were saying Petru, but it looked like, I don't know. I don't even know. I'm not even gonna try to spell it or pronounce it, but whatever. So this Clement dude versus Cedric Alexander. Cedric Alexander's out of, I want to say, Georgia or something like that. He was getting big response from the crowd. They were chanting his name heavy. North Carolina, thank you. Ric Flair, okay, see, thank you. This is why, it's good for me to have a co-host. Dukers, where the fuck you at? Just sitting there doing nothing. You couldn't give helpful information like the voice from the couch? So Cedric Alexander from North Carolina, he was getting big pops from the crowd versus that Clement, whatever his last name was. That was a solid match. There was a lot of good striking in that match. Alexander has some crazy moves. He hit a springboard forearm from the top rope, almost like a Styles forearm, but he hit one of those and he got up there. I mean, he was way up. What else? His finisher was dope. He somehow gets him up and then drops him into a double knee backbreaker. It was pretty freaking cool. Like, I gotta admit, I was pretty into that match. He ends up winning, obviously, but the crowd was going nuts for him. Almost as nuts as they went for our last match. Kota Ibushi versus Sean Maluta. Maluta's comes from the Samoa background, so Reigns, Usos, they're like cousins, blah, 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 blah. His dad's a Hall of Famer. Kota Ibushi he's one of the best wrestlers I've seen in a long time. That match was stunning to me. I don't follow a lot of Japanese wrestling. I mean, contrary to popular belief, I do actually do things. Like a lot of things, I make time just for this amount of stuff, which is already too much sometimes. But so I can't watch New Japan wrestling, as unfortunate as that is. But I've never seen Kota Ibushi wrestle. I've heard of him. I've seen packages. I've seen highlight reels. He looked impressive, but you never know until you see someone wrestle a full match. His match versus Sean Maluta was exceptional. I mean, some of the stuff that dude was pulling off, the kicks he hits with, I mean. And Daniel Bryan is probably the perfect announcer for this Cruiserweight Classic. They got him and the dude from SmackDown, who I don't really like the dude from SmackDown and never have. His voice just sounds too it almost sounds too much like a voice that should be on TV, like almost to the point where it pisses me off. But Brian's got some good insight 'cause he's wrestled most of these dudes. He knows a lot of these guys. He knows, I mean, he's Daniel Bryan. He knows a shit ton about wrestling. So Kato Ibushi obviously wins this match, but it was impressive. Maluta put up a hell of a fight. There was this Pele kick when Maluta was on the top rope, and he looked like he was getting ready to do a 5-star frog splash, or flying Samoa or whatever. But Kubota hits him with a freaking Pele kick, and it was way high. Like, I was surprised. They never even ended up replaying it. And then he was the one who hit the moonsault off of the top rope onto the outside of the ring. That was really impressive too. But I think both men in that match impressed. That's why it was such a good match. Because if one guy's good and one guy sucks, it's not going to lead for a great match or a better than average match. But when you got one really good wrestler and one, marginally good wrestler that's trying to put on a show and knows it might be his only shot, it was definitely something worth watching. So if you haven't watched it, if you do have the WWE Network, check it out. Watch the Cruiserweight Classic. I think it's going to be every Wednesday night after NXT, so they can kind of have a 2-hour block every Wednesday night of programming. So then now you got Monday Night Raw, Tuesday Night SmackDown live starting this coming Tuesday with the WWE Draft, and then you got NXT and the Cruiserweight Classic on Wednesday, and then you got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, except for pay-per-views for no programming. It kind of makes sense. Bunch it all together so that everyone just watches those days, and that's when most people are around anyway. So I kind of like what they're doing with this scheduling. I think we talked about it, but we got Lesnar, Orton announced at SummerSlam. I'm pretty sure I talked about that on the Raw video. But so no Battleground video. I'm sorry, guys. I got a concert. We will be doing Raw next week and the Raw and SmackDown next week. Raw and SmackDown get a show next week because it's going to be the draft. So I'll probably do the Raw show alone. I'm going to make Brian come for the draft show. He's got to quit hunting Pokemon and come get on one of these wrestling videos for the draft. Other than that, we got tons of stuff coming up. Celebration, Comic-Con, all that stuff. But for the NXT Cruiserweight Classic tonight, definitely I'm going to give it a solid A. I'm going to give it an A. It was good. When they chant "This is wrestling" at these events and at these matches and stuff, they're not joking. Sometimes Raw tries to be too much of a show and not enough about the wrestling. NXT Cruiserweight Classic, what's on WWE Network, they're really keeping it true to what wrestling is. So if you want pure wrestling and less, drama parts, go watch this stuff, people. It's only $9.99 a month, plus you get every pay-per-view. It's worth it. So until next time, deuces.